today's lesson is about multiplying fractions. When you multiply fractions, the first thing you have to do is rewrite the mixed numbers as improper fractions. You must. You cannot solve them without doing that. Next, you multiply your numerators using rules for multiplying integers. So then again, same sign, positive answer, different sign, negative answer. After that, you multiply your denominators, and then you rewrite in lowest terms. You never have to find a common denominator for these when you're doing that. That's one mistake kids make a lot, is they try to find that, and you do not need to. You can also reduce. So once you write them as improper fractions, the next step is I would reduce, cross simplify. All right, so looking at number 1, you just have 3/4 times 5/9. Here, you can cross simplify. If you have a fraction like this, you can simplify here and here, here and here, or up and down. That's it. Not across this way. That's a no. All right, so here I see 4 and 5 do not have any common factors in them, but 3 and 9 do. So I'm going to simplify before I multiply. If you do that, normally you don't have to reduce in the end. So here I'm going to take a factor of 3 out of the numerator and a factor of 3 out of the denominator. So I'm cross simplifying. So then I'm going to take 1 times 5 to get 5. So you multiply across. 4 times 3 to get 12. It's in its lowest terms. Positive times positive gives you a positive. So number 2, I'm going to cross simplify these guys here. I see a factor of 2 here and a factor of 2 here. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. I got my 9 and 3 again. So I'll take a factor of 3 out of that and a factor of 3 out of that. So now I'm going to multiply across, but this time I have a negative sign. So it's going to count as -1 times 3, which is -3, over 1 times 5, which is 5. Again, you'll notice I am not finding common denominators. You do not need to. 3 and 4. Now we have our mixed numbers. So first things first, change them to improper. So again, 8 times 1 plus 5 is going to be 13 over 8. So 13 over 8. Times, and then 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1 is 16. That's a -16 now, over 5. So here, cross simplify. 3 and 15, the only thing that goes into there is 1, so we're not going to do that one. So you have 8 and 16. 8 divided by 8 is 1, 16 divided by 8 is 2. Now I'm going to multiply across. 13 times -2 gives me -26 over, and then 1 times 5 is 5. Now we have a mixed or an improper fraction, so I had to make that the mixed number. 5 goes into 26 5 times. Do not forget your negative sign. You're going to have 1 left over, and 5 is your denominator. At any point, you can pause this video and fill your notes out. 6 times 4, 24, plus 1 is 25. So here, again, we're going to make it a mixed or an improper fraction. So -25 over 6 times, and then 10 times 2 is 20, plus 7 is 27. Over 10. So in this one, I'm looking and I'm like, oh my gosh, 25 times 27, that's huge. That's a lot. But if you look at your cross, you can reduce both ends here. So I see in 25 and 10, I see a 5. Factor of 5 that can go into both of those. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now when I look this way, 6 and 27, I see a factor of 3. That can go into both of those. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So now I'm going to multiply across. So -5 times 9 gives you a -45. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I'm going to make this an improper fraction, or a mixed number. So 4 into 45 goes 11. So we got -11 and 1/4 left over. So multiplying, the key is to make sure you make your mixed numbers improper, and then cross simplify, and then you can multiply across. Here we have an exponent with our fraction. So when you have -2/3 to the 3rd power, that means I'm going to take everything in there. Remember, it's in parentheses, so it's the negative and the 2/3 piece. Take -2/3 times -2/3 times -2/3. And then I'm going to multiply across. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So I'm going to get -8, because you have 3 negatives, an odd amount of negatives, so you're going to get a negative answer. So -8 over 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. Okay. Again, at any point you can pause this video, rewind it, rewatch it, whatever you need to do. So here in number 2, we have 4/5 is going to stay as 4/5. Negative 1/2, I'm going to change that to an improper, so it's going to be negative 3/2, and then times 7/9. I see a bunch I can cross simplify in here. I have a 9 and a 3, so the 3 becomes a 1, the 9 becomes a 3. And I also see a 4 and a 2, so I'm going to take a factor of 2 out. 2 becomes a 1, 4 becomes a 2. I don't see anything else, so now I'm just going to multiply across. Again, you have a positive times a negative times a positive, so that's going to create a negative. So I'm going to have negative 14 over 5 times 1 times 3 gives me 15. Always keep your negatives up in your numerator, so this way it's easier to compute whether your answer is positive or it is negative. Last piece we're going to take a look at, it says evaluate the following algebraic expressions when x is negative 3, y is 8, and z is negative 4. When you see something like this, and when you evaluate an algebraic expression, what that means is, like, we're going to say x's value is negative 3. So I'm going to plug negative 3 in where I see x. Y's value is 8. I'm going to plug 8 in where I see y. Z's value is negative 4, so I'm going to plug that in where I see z. Anytime you have the variables stuck together like that, the operation is multiplication. So negative 3 times 8 times negative 4. So PEMDAS says go left to right. So negative 3 times 8 gives me a negative 24 times negative 4. And then negative 24 times negative 4 gives me a positive 96. We learned about evaluating expressions when you have an exponent. Remember, always put whatever x's value is inside the parentheses. And we also, in this problem, have absolute value here. So we have x squared times z. So x is negative 3. So we're going to put negative 3 because I want to square everything that x is. So negative 3 squared times z, which is negative 4. And then this is all in the absolute values. So PEMDAS says exponents before you multiply. So negative 3 times negative 3 gives me a positive 9 times negative 4. Good, I did that first. 9 times negative 4 gives me a negative 36. And then I want to find the absolute value of that, and that's 36. So the most important thing to remember with multiplying fractions is that you want to make sure everything, all your mixed numbers are improper fractions, and then you just follow your rules for multiplying integers, where negative times negative is a positive, positive times positive is a positive, opposite signs, you're going to get a negative answer.